As you may know by now, or you should, today is our Global Youth Day. And so our young people are at the forefront of the battle. And this year, I've been elected as the youth leader of our church. I have the ministry that works with me, and I'm very thankful for the people that I have. They're working very, very hard. And, I feel like a father. People ask me, you don't have children? I'm like, I have like 50 of them. And so it's quite something. And I have mixed feelings. I've been working with young people for years. It's the first time since I'm in BC that I am in an official position in a church for youth, but I've been working with them, studying and doing outreach and all these things, praying with them. And I got to say that there's mixed feelings with working with young people. So I'm going to tell you that, guys. I have mixed feelings working with you. Their age range is quite broad. It goes from like the young one to like the 30s. And there are 4 P's for me to describe how I feel about working with you guys. The first one is pleasure. I truly enjoy working with young people more than I do with the older ones. I still love you, don't worry. But there's a difference between working with the older one and working with the younger one. And the difference is this. The older people, the adults, they have a lot of opinions. A lot of opinion. You're teaching in a class, a hand ends up, you have a question? No, I have an opinion. But with the young people, it's different. They're in the process of forming opinions. And that's great because now they have a lot of questions. They keep asking, and it's challenging. The stuff that they ask, sometimes it's like, how am I going to answer this? Answer this so that it makes sense for all the age range in which I deal with. And it's also important to get the right answer. It's very important. I know when I was young, the reason why I quit my faith is I couldn't get an answer. The reason why it took so much time for me to accept Seventh-day Adventists and be baptized and return to the faith is because I couldn't get an answer. I would ask questions and I get blank looks. And so it was difficult, and so I struggled to make sure that I would give our young people the right answers. The second P is it's a privilege. It's such a privilege to be placed in such a critical and important position. It's a high trust that is put upon me, and I take it very, very seriously. I know it's a crucial time for young people, for you guys, because you don't know what's in the future. But us older people, we kind of know a little bit what's coming. And it's something else. Sometimes I feel like Aaron, between the living and the dead, with the censer, and I feel like that because I know there are a lot of young people that at one point, you guys are just going to leave. And it's heartbreaking. There's also a lot of pressure of being a youth leader because you know what? Young people, you guys, it's for some reason you just detect fakeness. And I know Alicia's looking at me and she's not sure it's a word, neither am I. But they can detect fakeness, they can see inconsistency, and sometimes they can't express it very well, but they don't understand why. But many, unfortunately, are looking for every and any reason to just get out of the religious circle. And so when you're a youth leader, you got to be really careful. Always asking myself, am I good enough for this? Am I giving the right example? Am I helping them to get closer to God, or am I hindering them? It's like any mistake that I make, I feel like, I'm going to lose them. And it's a lot of pressure. You have no idea. Well, your parents, you know a little bit, but it's a lot of pressure when you have 50 children. And the last one, last P, is painful. It's painful sometimes to work with the young people. You teach you instruct, you rebuke subtly. Sometimes you're just straight up in their face, and you hope something will change, something will happen, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. And it hurts, but then you move on. And then you have like the other groups, the other people, and it's a continual thing. But it's also awesome to work with young people, because you look at them and like, there's hope. There's hope for Jesus to come. Because let's face it, when we look at the older people, we're like, come on guys, get going, get going. But when you look at the young people, you see the energy, you see the vitality, and it gives hope. And it's just great. But as I've been working with young people for years, there are things that comes in my mind. And I want to talk to you guys this morning, because there's something it's been bugging me, and I've been noticing it more and more year after year. It's not true for every one of you, but it's true for many of you. And since I'm going to talk to the young people, I'm going to try to talk as much as I can to the young people. If you're not young, still listen. Okay? Because whatever I say to them, you should already be there. Right? Now we tell a young child, oh, you're supposed to keep the 10 Commandments. And you should be doing that. Right? And so, there's something that I don't understand is what I see is a lot of you guys, you don't really care about religious things. Not all of you, but some. It's like Sabbath is an obstruction in your life. Bible, it's inconvenient. Why would I bring that to church? I'm going to a Bible study without a Bible. That always hits me. It's like, I don't know, if you'd go to a baseball game without a baseball or a glove. That doesn't work. And yet, church without a Bible. And I'm asking myself, why is it like that? What's the problem? Let's turn to Luke chapter 13, which is where our memory verse was. Luke chapter 13. This morning, the title of our message is The Root of the Problem. Beginning in verse 6, we read, "And he spake also this parable." This is Jesus speaking. "A certain man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came and sought fruit thereon, and found none. And then said he unto the dresser of his vineyard, Behold, these 3 years I come seeking fruit on this fig tree, and find none. Cut it down. Why cumbereth it the ground?" And so you have an interesting setting here. You have this landowner. He's got this beautiful vineyard, this incredible garden. He has all sorts of different fruit trees, and he has all these different trees, and there's a diversity. It's filled up. But there is not one tree. It's troubling him. It's bugging him. He says, "I've been coming for 3 years. This tree has reached maturity." He says, "I've been coming these 3 years with an expectation. I expect to get fruits out of that tree. I expect to have figs. And in 3 years, not one single fruit. Nothing. It's a fruitless tree." And then he passes a sentence. "Cut it down. Why cumbereth it the ground?" Why is it taking space here? It's wasting space. Take it away, and we'll plant something that's going to be fruitful. Cut it out of the ground. Now, when you read that, at first glance, it's like, man, this man is harsh. How can he say that? Just cut the tree down? It's a perfectly healthy tree. It doesn't have fruits, but it's a perfectly healthy looking tree. But I think when we read that, we fail to put ourselves in the place and in the position of the landowner. Why would he appear to be so harsh? Is he harsh or no? We need to understand him a little bit more, and we'll do so. Don't lose your page here. We'll go to Isaiah chapter 5 so we can understand how this landowner operates to be able to pass such a sentence. Isaiah chapter 5. As we study the root of the problem. Beginning in verse 1, we read, "Now will I sing my beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved had a vineyard in a very fruitful hill. And he fenced it, and he gathered out the stones thereof, and he planted it with the choicest vine, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein, and he looked that it should bring forth grapes. And it brought forth" what? "Wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard." So we have this beloved who has this vineyard, and it's in a fruitful hill. It's a place where it should grow abundantly. And he says, I'm going to choose this spot right here. So the first thing he does is he puts a fence around it. He's trying to protect it from wild beasts and any dangers that would come in. And then he works on the ground. He takes out the stone so that it would not prevent it from growing. He takes out all the obstacles so it's a nice ground. And then he plants the choice vine. He gives it the best so that the garden would be awesomely fruitful. And then he builds a tower. He builds a tower so that he could put a watchman on top. So he could look for anything that could cross the fence. He could look for enemy that would come and damage his vineyard. And finally, he makes a wine press. Because there is an expectation that we would get fruits, they would get grape. And this wine press is so that he could produce wine. So that he would give this garden, this vineyard, a purpose, a future. And after doing all of that, after taking care of it, the result is wild grapes. It's worthless. Can't do anything with that. And yet, the choice is mine. And in verse 5, it tells us that he's talking about the inhabitants of Jerusalem. So clearly God here is making an application of this vineyard being his people. He says, look at everything that I've provided you. Look at everything that I have given you. Look at all the advantages that you have. Look at everything that I have done. And I come here and still you're not producing what is expected. So he says, judge me. Judge me. Judge between you and me. Go ahead, judge me. And in verse 4, he says, what could I have done more to my vineyard that I have not done? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grape, brought it forth wild grape. Look at everything that I've done. What more could I have done? To bring that to court, God has to be really, really confident that he has done everything. And indeed, he's done everything. Everything he could for his vineyard. And yet, it's not producing what is expected. With that in mind, let's go back to Luke 13. Because now Jesus' parable will start to make sense. This owner has this large vineyard in chapter 13 of Luke. And that vineyard represents God's people. That represents you and me, every one of us. We're one of that tree in that vineyard. And he's looking at that particular young person. No old person, but young person. And he looks at that tree, that person that is not producing fruit. Now, what does that person look like? Well, it's a person that's quite satisfied with their state. They're undisturbed. They're proud of not changing, of just going through the motion. But you know, that's a great and sad price for satisfaction. Because a fruitless tree and a person not producing fruit never come to experience the joy of bearing fruit. Never see the new seed. Never comes to perfect maturity. Never reach the fulfillment of its purpose. Because it is not producing fruits. So he's asking, what is wrong with him? What is wrong with her? What is wrong with you? What's wrong with me? Why is there no fruit? I've done everything to make sure that there will be success. And God asks, why is it that you hate me so much? Why do you hate my day of worship so much? Why do you hate coming to see me in my house? Why is it that you don't want to carry my love letter with you? I wrote it for you. Why? Why is it like that? What is it that I could have done more for you? Cut it down. Why are you cumbering the pews? Why are you cumbering my field? Now, I hope you're starting to realize that this is a scene of judgment. Serious judgment. God is looking down and he's conducting an investigation. And he has come to the end of his investigation. He was looking for something particular. He was looking for fruit. And he's now ready to end that tree's probation. He's going to close it down because there's nothing more that he can do. And all that you're doing, or I'm doing, is cumbering the ground. Now there's other trees around, and they might be producing fruits for all we know. They might be not producing fruits. We don't know. We only know about that one tree because God deals with us individually. You understand that? Individually. We're not going to be saved because of somebody else, but we're also not getting cut down because of somebody else. It's individual. It's you or me and God alone. Nobody else. Nobody else. So you can't get lost because of somebody else, and you can't be saved because of somebody else. And in the word of the Spirit of prophecy, no one drifts into heaven. No one drifts into heaven. You can't just sit there and expect one day you'll wake up in heaven. Not happening. But something happened that's kind of unexpected in verse 8. The dresser answers, and he said, and he answering him, said unto him, Lord, let it alone this year also, till I shall dig about it and dung it, and if it bear fruit, well, and if not, then after that thou shalt cut it down. Now that's interesting because there's a few things. The owner is complaining that there is a lack of fruit. And after all the effort that could have been put there is no change. So he passes the sentence, but then the dresser comes and says, let's give an extension. Let's hold probation just a little longer. Let me try to put a little bit of extra effort. And notice that the dresser does not question the judgment. You notice that. He didn't come and says, no, don't do it. He says, okay, let's wait a little longer. He actually approves of the sentence. It should be cut off because it's not producing, but let me try one more time. And you know, the owner also does not oppose the extension. Why? Because the owner and the dresser are actually working together. They both have the same purpose. they both want to see that tree with fruits. They're more interested in seeing a fruitful tree than to seeing a cut off stump in the ground. They're not arguing because they've been working together for 3 years on that tree. And they're willing to give it together another year. Both God, the Father, and the Son are highly interested not in cutting us off, not in cutting anyone off. They're interested in our salvation. And I think that's very important. So probation is postponed, but it won't be postponed forever. Just a little bit extra. Just a little extension. And so the dresser explained what he's going to do. He's going to try to discover why there is no fruit. And I'm going to ask you, what is it that he doesn't do? Think about it. The tree is not producing fruits. Now, where do fruits grow? On which part of the tree? On the branches. Does the dresser go and investigate the branches to find out why there's no fruit? No. No, he doesn't. What does he do instead? What does he do instead? He says, I'm going to dig about it and dug it. I'm going to dig at the bottom of the fruit. Why is he doing that? What's at the bottom of the tree? The roots. Last week at AY, we talked about a very important principle, which was this idea of cause and effect. The fruit is an effect that has a cause. But what is the cause that makes the tree bear fruit? It's the roots. Proverbs 12:12 says, the wicked desire the net of evil men, but the root of the righteous yieldeth fruit. What is it that yields fruit? The root. Well, what kind of root? The righteous root. The righteous root. And that's why we're talking about the root of the problem. We have to go back to the root. My problem is why does it seem that so many young people don't care about God? You look at the littlest one, right? The little one. They love God. They sing, they do their memory texts, they draw, they do all they just love God. And then something happens. It's like a mystery. There's something that takes place. As the years go by, this love just seems to dwindle out. And then it's like it's gone. Let's identify what the root is in a person. What is the root in a person? Turn to Luke chapter 6. We'll read in verse 43. It says, for a good tree bringeth not forth corrupt fruit, neither doth a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. For every tree is known by his own fruit. For of thorns men do not gather figs, nor a bramble bush gather they grapes. A good man out of the good treasure of what? His heart bringeth forth that which is good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil, for of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaketh. The root of a person is his heart. Now in the Bible, the heart the mind is the same thing. But that's the root. So if there's no fruit, where is the problem? At the heart and at the mind. So what is it that what is it that happened to you guys? What happened to your mind and what happened to your heart that you ended up having a distaste for God and the things of God? What happened? Well, I decided to go and look at some statistics. I knew what I was going to find, and I did find it. And statistics as to why people, young people, leave the church. Young people end up moving on from the church, from God, from the faith. And first thing I want to tell you is this phenomenon is not just in the Adventist church. Okay, this is all across Christianity, and probably even other faith as well. It's not a particular set of belief that does that. It's not that. It's something else. And I want you to pay attention as I give you the statistic, because I want you to be able to identify what happened to our young children, and then suddenly when they're older, and what happened in that range of time where suddenly God is like passé. It's the old stuff. So I'll just read you the result of the study. I have all the data here, but this is a 2001 study. It says Southern Baptist Convention indicates that they are currently losing 70 to 88% of their youth after their freshman year in college. 70% of teenagers involved in church youth group stop attending church within 2 years of their high school graduation. That's alarming. That's like 7 out of 10. Count 10 children here. The stat says 7 out of them will be out of the church. Some of the reason why, apparently in 97, this is an older stat, but I want you to see the 97 and 2018, I have two. So in 97, the reason they left is because they had troubling unanswered question about their faith. They said their faith was not working for them. They allowed other things to take priority, or they never really personally owned their faith. This was the reason why they left in 97. In 2018, this is the reason they gave. I have a hard time believing that a good God would allow so much evil or suffering in the world. That's someone who couldn't get an answer. For that last AY, there was an answer. Christians are hypocrites. Well, yeah, of course we are. We're trying to be saints, but we are having a hard time overcoming sin. Right? But that's just what it is. I believe science refutes too much of the Bible. I'd love to see those science. I'd love to see it. I don't believe in fairy tale. I guess I've been watching Shrek too much. You don't know about Shrek, do you know? You know what that is, right? That ridiculous 3D animation. You know, it's all about those fairy tales. Let me tell you right now, it's all about those fairy tales. So you have like Cinderella, you have Snow White, you have the Three Little Pigs, you have all these different things, right? So you've seen all these things. Let me ask you, everything that's in that animation, and they're like at 20 right now, I don't know. Everything that's in there has to do with fairy tale. Let me ask you, where in a fairy tale have you ever seen a talking donkey? No, don't laugh. Where have you seen that? In the Bible. So what are they doing with the Bible? They're equating it with fairy tale. So when young people start reading their Bible and they see the talking donkey, the association is made with Snow White and with Cinderella. You think that was not planned? Yeah, I'll come back to that. There are too many injustices in the history of Christianity. I used to go to church. Well, it's not important to me anymore. I had a bad experience at church with a Christian. Maybe it was a youth leader, I don't know. Pressure. 88% of the children in evangelical homes leave church at the age of 18. That's in 2002. 2006, a majority of 20-somethings 61% of today's young adults had been church at one point during their teen years, but they are now spiritually disengaged. 70% will leave the faith in college. 7 in 10 Protestant aged 18 to 30, both evangelical and mainline, who went to church regularly in high school, say they quit attending by age 23. Who's 22? I'm going to keep my eye on you. 52% of college students reported frequent church attendance the year before they entered college, but only 29% continue frequent church attendance by their junior year. Current data seems to suggest that about 40 to 50% of students in youth groups struggle in their faith after graduation. Most young people said they left the church by the age of 13. 63% said they left between the age of 10 and 10 and 17. Sorry, 63% said they left the church between the age of 10 and 17, and 23% said they left before the age of 10. Now, as I'm reading this statistic, anybody alarmed? It's frightening. But let me ask you this. It's basically saying more than half, probably 70 to 80% of our young people will eventually leave their faith. But have you picked up what the common thread was? Yeah, but what was it? Why suddenly this shift? What is it that happened that they started leaving one after the other? What was the common thread in all the statistics that I gave you? It'll shock you a little bit, but education. Education. Now, before I continue, okay, just so we don't get a misunderstanding and you don't start calling the pastor in the conference, okay? Education is important, okay? We need an education, amen? Okay, I believe in education, and we will continually be educated because we are in the school of Christ, amen? The problem is the way the educational system is working today. Do you realize that high school, grade school, high school, or you call it middle school and I don't know, school, and college and university and all that is not designed, guys, it's not designed to help you with your faith. It's not designed to increase your faith. It's there to destroy it. Yeah, it is there to destroy it. When's the last time, actually, before I go there, has any of you, young people and adults, ever read the book Education, The Spirit of Prophecy? Wait. Okay, how many students here have read Education? Okay, one. Okay. I don't know what you're planning on doing on Sunday. Parents, you got to drive down the ABC and get the book Education and make your children read it. This is important. You don't understand how important that is. Okay? You guys are going to school for nearly 8 hours a day, Monday to Friday, for about three quarter of the year. And you have no clue what true education is all about because all you've ever seen is whatever the school system and society has placed on you. I was, when I finished my bachelor's degree, I was at this university here, and Christian university, not Adventist, but nonetheless, it's a Christian evangelical university. And this is my first year, my first semester. And I'm sitting in this class, and the teacher said, okay, we're going to introduce each other. So he asked every student, to talk about it. And I'm studying biblical study. This is a religious class. And so we're talking about why we're here and what we're doing and where we've been, what's our background, etc. And then there's this guy who's there. He entered the university, a Christian university. He entered into biblical studies for the purpose of becoming a pastor or a scholar. I can't remember, but that was his purpose. And he said, because of this university, I lost my faith. He's studying biblical studies in a Christian university, and he lost his faith. That's problematic. But after spending 2 years there, I have no problem believing that. Because they weren't teaching the Bible. They were teaching anything else, and they were teaching to doubt more than anything. And that's what the problem is. Our schooling system is based on Greek thinking. Okay? Greek thinking, in a very simplistic mode, goes like that. It asks why. Why this? Why that? Why is it like that? Why is it not like that? Why? Do you know where this system of thought started? That started in Eden. Did God not say that? Okay? It's the ministry, the education of doubting. Why is it like that? Why? True education doesn't ask why. It asks how. How does it work? How can I do this? How can I fulfill this? Lord, how can I be of help? How can I get better? How? But we ask why. Why? 8 hours a day sitting down is not healthy. Your brain just is like mush. I remember when I was in high school and in college. It's not healthy. That's not how we were designed to do things. Now, let me ask adults. Okay, most of you went to school. How many of you remembers things like, what is that, sinus and cosinus and tangent and stuff like that? How many of you remember that? Okay. How many would be able to do that today? You would? Well, you're still doing it. That's good. How many of you actually are using that today? Why did you learn it? I took a woodworking class when I was in high school. Anybody did that? Yeah? How many of you are still using that? You are? Excellent. Well, it's because you're in that, right? That's good. But look at the majority. Anybody took ecology? I took that. I don't know. Is that how you say it in English? Yeah, ecology. Anybody took that? Yeah, I took that. I can't tell you anything I've learned on that. I can't remember. It was a great class. I loved it. All I remember is the teacher has such an incredible handwriting. That's what I remember of the class. Sorry. How many of you remember the majority of the things you've learned in your history class, in your geography class, and all these different classes? You remember the majority of the things you've learned? Great students. What about the rest of you? Because you guys are still young. Trust me, it's coming. But how often do you use these things? Right? So basically what they do is they give you so many things to learn, which in a way it's great, but what is school supposed to be about? It's supposed to be about preparing you for the future. And so you're learning all these things to prepare you for the future that you don't remember half of that stuff and you don't use it anyways. What is it really doing? What is it really doing? Now let me describe a little bit what I see. Okay. There's a bell that rings. Everybody gets in line, and then they start doing work. Then there's another bell. Okay, that's break time. So people kind of chill for a little bit. Oh, another bell. Okay, go back in line, do your assigned work. Oh, another bell. Oh, that's lunchtime. Yeah, I'm hungry. Another bell. Lunchtime is finished. Let's go line up a little bit again. Let's do work. Then there's another bell. And it's another break. Then another bell. You come back, you line up, you do your work. And then there's another bell, you go home. right? Like, what am I describing, really? That's serious. What am I describing? School. What else am I describing? Yeah, construction site, factory. You work in an office, right? You know what? You know why it's like that? Because the schooling system, and if you study it, you'll be quite amazed, is actually designed to structure and condition our young people so that when they graduate from high school, they will fit in the model of the 9-to-5 jobs. There's this lady, I was watching this DVD, which was awesome. The guy was talking about this lady who made some research, and she went to find out, those valedictorian? You know what a valedictorian is? It's like the highest scorer in high school, right? And so they're like at the top of their class. They get like 99% of average in all their classes. They're incredible. They get tons of stuff and everything. And they want to find out, okay, where are these people now? What is it that they're doing? They must be changing the world. Yeah, no, they're not. They have good jobs, right? But they're still fitting in the model. Still fitting in the model. You know that most of the successful people that changed the world, like people like Einstein and Bill Gates and all these guys like that, most of them are high school dropouts. And now I'm not telling you drop out of school. I'm not telling you that. But I'm trying to make you understand that the expectation you have of your education may not actually be doing what it's supposed to do. Curriculum it's supposed to make you smarter, right? But sitting at the desk for hours on end, the Spirit of Prophecy actually calls it a great evil because it numbs you. You're supposed to get some physical activity, and I'm not talking about phys ed. Come on, that's ridiculous. An hour a day, not even, right? You're supposed to be engaged in physical labor, usefulness, trade to prepare you for the future. You know what I don't understand is I think, you look, what is it that everybody needs to know when they live on their own after when they get married? Okay. You need to know how to cook, right? But no, right now they're not spending much time. I mean, you have a class, I think, for like half a semester, teaching you cooking skills, right? Does that really help? Most people don't even know how to cook when they finish high school, and then they're expected to provide. So what do they do? Well, they end up at McDonald's, right? Burger King. They get fat, get a heart attack. I mean, what's the point? It's not. So people don't know how to cook. They don't know how to fix a sink. Don't know how to fix a toilet that's clogged. Don't know how to fix a car. Simple life skill that we need every day. These things should be taught, but they're not, because the only purpose is to educate the mind. But what do they educate you in? Evolution is the only acceptable worldview. They don't talk about Christianity in school anymore. Can't talk about that. Religion is associated with ignorance. You believe in God? What are you? Are you like mentally retarded because you believe in God? That's what they tell you. Right? Tolerance is promoted at the expense of holiness and righteousness. Sin is acceptable. It's normal. It's understandable. It's even excusable. Alcohol, cigarette, and drug, that's where it's introduced. It's common. I mean, I remember when my nephew started his high school near our place. That was kind of like incredible, because sat with the vice principal, I think he was. And was saying, oh yeah, it's a pretty quiet school, nothing really happens. Well, you have your exception and everything. Half the people skip class. They're in the back smoking weed. And it's not like they don't know. What they do about it? Nothing. Right? This is where premarital sex is accepted. It's even promoted, because they have something called sex education. Right? They have that in school. It's not marriage education, it's sex education. Let us show you how it's done and when it's done. And here's some condoms if ever you want to experiment. School, where you send your children 8 hours a day. If children or teens have trouble with their sexual orientation, the school will support the teenager and not the parents, and will hide the information from the parents. School today. And we can go on and on and on. But listen, at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, is school teaching you what you don't know? Is it teaching you to know what you don't know, or is it teaching you to behave the way you don't behave? It's a conditioning system to condition you. Now, why am I saying that? Because we're talking about the root of the problem, and all the statistics said that the moment that children enter the school, the moment you guys entered the school, there was a process that was continuing that by the time you end, if you're not careful, if you're not attentive, if you don't make extra effort, chances are you will leave your faith. And I've seen some do that. Many do that. It's a sad reality. Guys, if you're not careful, I guarantee you, education will kill you spiritually. It will kill you spiritually. Now, there's the first thing, there's another aspect that I want to look at, because education is one thing. It takes almost a third of your day. A third of your day. And so the influences that are, when's the last time that you went in school and they say, hey, let's pray. Let's open the Bible. Let's find out about God. They do that at school. Even when you're in a Christian school, it's very rare. I was in a Christian university. I had one teacher pray before the class. Once. Christian teacher. I don't understand. I was studying Bible. Anyways, I never studied the Bible. I just studied what people say about the Bible. That's the other thing. But the other thing that I want to talk about is, because we're talking about what fills the heart and mind, because that's the root and that's what prevents tree from producing fruits. Well, 9 hours, or rather 8 hours a day of that does not produce fruit. But there's another thing that fills the mind and the heart that prevents roots from producing fruits. And that is media. You're probably not surprised, but let me give you a stat here. You probably won't be surprised to hear that a new report found that teens and tweens spend a lot of time watching TV videos and movies, playing video games, reading, listening to music, and checking social media. You might be somewhat shocked by just how much time. On any given day, teens can spend about, what do you think? 9 hours using media for their enjoyment. 9 hours. To your maybe 6 hours in school. And then you add another 9 hours of media. So you're now at 15 hours a day. Right? This is a period of time where you parents have no influence on your children. That the church has no influence on you guys. But that media and school has influence on you. And what is it teaching you? 2016, it says that 71% of teens have a TV in their bedroom. And on average, teenagers send 60 messages a day. And I know this is like completely outdated. Probably looking at a few hundreds, not thousands. I found this interesting. In 2008, France, banned marketing television programs targeting at under 3 years old. In France, you are not allowed to have television program for children under 3, because they say it damages, how do they put it? It causes developmental risks. Because that's the time where the brain forms, and synapses in the brain starts connecting. And because television is a bunch of stuff flashing in you, it messes up the synapses and they don't connect properly, and it provokes development risks. And that's why you have some young people, they're like some children, they just can't stand in place. They're always looking for something, because that's what the TV is all the time. Bang, 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 bang. It's and so sitting in one place, just staring at the guy in front talking, it's excruciating. You need some action. But let me ask you, 9 hours a day on media. What is there to watch for 9 hours? Oh, well, there's a lot to watch, right? There's a lot out there to watch. They say no, if you just take YouTube, you would need, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5 lifetimes to watch everything that's on there. And it's increasing every year. Right? And what do you watch there? What do you see there? Do you see how, we have to be loving and kind? And yeah, you see some of that. But what's the majority of things you see there? Right? Except for the useless stuff. Hey, let's do a taste challenge. Why? Why is that entertaining? Why seek entertaining so much? Research has discovered that people are addicted to the internet. Okay, let me repeat that. To the internet. Not to the content that's on the web pages, to the internet itself. It doesn't matter what they do or what they watch, what they play. It's the internet. And you're like, what? I'm not addicted to that. Well, let me ask you, if I tell you suddenly that you should do a 7-day fast of media, of internet. No Facebook, no Twitter, no YouTube, no Snapchat, none of these things. 7 days. How do you feel about that? Is that like, no, I can't do that. Chances are you might be addicted to the internet. And think about it. A lot of the stuff that's on there is not there to increase, it's absolutely not there to increase your love for God. It's not. It's not. It shows you, I used to study film years ago. Okay? I was sitting in a classroom and I was dissecting films. I was dissecting movies. And everything that's on there has a purpose. The major purpose is this. The director who's taking care of the whole production has a worldview. He has thoughts, he has ideas, and all he wants to do is for you to believe that what he believes is the right thing. So you watch an action movie, and you have the good guy and the bad guy. And how is it that the good guy is supposed to deal with the bad guy? How does he deal with him in most movies? He kills him at the end. That's how you deal with evil. That's how you deal with bad guy. You kill them. Is that how you deal with people? Because they disagree with you? That's how they deal with Jesus. Is Jesus a bad guy? And so, see that over and over and over again. And I remember years back, I was watching before a lot, and you can't wait for the end. You're excited to get to the end. And you can't wait for the bad guy to get it and die. And then when he does, like, whoa, you cheer. You cheer for the good guy. And you're happy that the guy is dead. What? But isn't it true? And so this is shaping how you think and how you view things. Right? It's teaching you, make sure that you get the girl. And you're not getting her to make her happy and for marriage. You're getting her because you need to have sex. It's teaching you that in movies. It's teaching you, no, forget marriage, just as often as you can, as much as you can. That's what it teaches. The CEO of HBO, this is a story that I discovered, I didn't know, and I thought that was fabulous. Fabulously bad. People were, because to watch HBO, apparently you need a subscription. So what people were doing is they were exchanging passwords. Okay, so they were cheating the system so they could watch whatever they could watch. And people were bringing that to the attention of the CEO, and the CEO says, well, it doesn't matter, because our goal and our purpose is to make video addict. They want to addict you to movies and to videos and to media. Why? Because there's big business in there. You get the young people, you guys that are young, you get to start consuming now, and if they hook you hard enough, you'll be consuming forever, till the day you die. Big money, big bucks. They don't care about your values. They don't care about anything. They just care about what it gets them. And think about it. Look at the way, and I remember that for myself, look at the way you speak. Look at your mannerism. Look at the way you dress. Look at the things that you want. You know, most of these things is not from you. It's from what they've placed before you. The expression that you use, most of the time you get it from TV shows and commercials and all that. I used to be like that, I know, and even now I'm noticing some stuff in myself that I don't like. Where did I pick that up from? Oh yeah, it was a beer commercial. It's true. They try to say that, we're trying to develop imagination. It's not developing nobody's creativity or imagination, it's ruining it. It's forcing you to think what they want you to think, so that you will consume what they want you to consume. And at the end of the day, none of that consumption has to do with God. None of it. So, what's the problem? What's the root of the problem? Is whatever enters the heart, whatever enters the roots. Now, there's other factors. I'm not saying this is the only thing, but these two, excessively pervasive. It messes you up. It messes all of us. Psalm 92, 12-15 says that the righteous shall flourish like the palm tree, shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Those that be planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the courts of our God. This is where you have to be planted if you want to flourish. They shall bring forth fruit in old age. Old age, it will continue to bring fruit. They shall be fat and flourishing to show that the Lord is upright. He is my rock, and there is no unrighteousness in him. And now God is looking down, looking for fruits. He's inspecting his vineyard tree by tree, and he comes to you, to that one tree. And what is he finding? Is there fruit? Just one fruit. He just needs one fruit. Or has education and media destroyed your love for God? Probation ends for everyone. And the sentence, cut it down, will come for everyone. In a year, if that tree does not produce fruit, its probation is closed. We don't know about the other tree. We know about this tree. There are many of us here not producing fruits. Or we're wild olives, wild grape. Now, probation might have been extended. We might be living right now, we don't know, in an extended probation, but it's not going to last forever. It won't. Now, the good news, there is a good news. The good news is that parable has no ending. It ends, let's wait an extra year. But Jesus does not tell us what the ending is. We don't know if the tree is getting cut down or if it's going to produce fruit. Because what Jesus wants, and he wants to give you a choice. Now you have a choice. You have a choice to produce fruits or not. You have a choice. You can make a decision. Will you risk getting cut down? Or will you accept his appeal? Will you make the right decision? Now I want to talk to my young people from the heart. I know some of you out there, and I may not know some of you out there, that have not even taken the first step in producing fruits. And what I mean by that is there's some that have not baptized. They have not even entered the vineyard. They have not even started to think to take that step in that direction. And that step is a commitment. That's all it is. It's a commitment to make a decision to prepare to enter the vineyard of God. And that commitment has to start with, I want to learn what it takes for me to enter the vineyard. I want to know what it takes for me to receive baptism. I want to make preparation for that. You know what? That's a choice you have to make. Nobody else can make that choice for you. Nobody else can force you to be baptized. Nobody else can force you to accept the truth. Nobody else can force you to connect with Jesus. No one can do that for you. No one will. Parents can make it. Friends can make it. I won't make it. You will have to do it on your own. That's a decision for you and you alone. And so what I want now is I want to give you an opportunity to make that decision. I want to give you the opportunity to make a commitment. I'm not going to drag. I'm not going to push. If you're not baptized and you want to make that commitment, if you want to commit to make preparation, I'm going to ask you to come in front. If you don't come, that's fine. I'm not going to run after you. Nobody will. God has been running after you. But He's not going to run forever. So if you want to say, listen, I need to start producing fruit because I'm fruitless. Now I want to get cut down. Come. If you're upstairs, downstairs, it doesn't matter. Come. And as you make your mind, as you make up your mind, because I will close this appeal and that'll be it. Some of us, some of you, are actually cumbersome trees. What does that mean by that? Well, you call yourself an Adventist, but that's pretty much it. There is still no fruit. You've been baptized, but why? Do you know? Have you done anything? You fell through, and suddenly you're one of those statistics. Statistics of those that fell through. You left, or you're planning on leaving, or you're not interested in being here. That might be you. Well, I want to also give you an opportunity. You want to come, you want to change your mind, you want a new direction, you want to commit to God, come. If you want to be baptized, come to my left. If you want to recommit, come to my right, and we'll talk, because we need to make decisions today. And finally, for everybody else that's here, what have you been doing? You're not a young person, you're an adult, and I don't know what you've been doing, I don't know what you've been thinking, and you might be falling in one of those two categories, and you're an adult. You might not have been baptized yet, and I don't know why, but you realize that something's been messing you up and keeping you from God. Come also. Or if you realize that you have stopped producing fruits, that you are not where you ought to be, and you're in danger of being cut down, then come as well. There is time. Probation has not yet closed. If you want baptism, I'd ask you to come to my left. If you want to recommit, stay to my right. Because I want to pray for you individually and specifically. And I want to know why I'm praying for you. It's important. Remember, nobody's making the decisions for you. Now, I only see young people, so I'm very happy. But what about the adults? A little shy? Don't be shy. You're doing that for God. Don't let the system that is out there prevent you from coming to God. Make a decision. Father, oh Father, what have you not done for us? You have done it all. If we are honest with ourselves, Lord, you've done everything you could have done. It is us, Lord, that have failed to do what is right. Lord, you see those that have come, those that have responded. Lord, they came from a sincere heart. Nobody pushed them. They're making a choice for you, Lord. They're making a commitment. Some are making a commitment for the first time, Lord, to truly want to follow you, to enter your vineyard, Lord, and to be fruitful for your glory. To do, Lord, that which is right in your sight. and to not let anything stop and prevent them. Lord, I pray and ask that you will solidify this commitment, that you will strengthen them, that you will do all, Lord, to keep them. I know, Lord, you are all powerful. You will keep the enemy at bay, and they will get through this, Lord, and they will praise your name. And Lord, we have some also that have come because, Lord, you realize, though they have been baptized, though they have called upon your name, they have not lived up to your glory. They have not lived up to what you've called them to be. Father, today they are making a choice to turn around, Lord, and to return, and to be your children again, and to be fruitful trees once more. A commitment, Lord, to no longer stray. And Father, I pray that you will also bless them and strengthen them. For Lord, it is not an easy thing to do. It demands courage, Lord, to stand and to come. And I pray, Lord, that you will honor them, honor their decision. Lord, if there's anything, any way that us that are here, Lord, can help them, Lord, help us help them. Father, we want all of them to be in your kingdom. We want all of them to stay strong. We want none lost, Lord. We want all of them saved. For Lord, you're not willing that any should perish. And they are coming to repentance. And Lord, you are faithful to forgive and to bless and to strengthen. Please, Lord, help them and help us. Forgive us, Lord, if we've put this off for so long. And help us today, Lord, to walk faithfully from this day on until you come. Thank you, Lord, and I pray this for the blessing upon them and upon ourselves. In the name of our Lord and our Savior, magnificent and beautiful Jesus.